Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ONOG Summer Circuit NA Open Qualifiers number 2, where we just saw a pretty exciting match between Trump and his opponent Dekies. And Dekies, he was bringing a lot of underdog classes, but fortunately, he was able to take the game against the fan favorite of Trump. So right now, we're actually going to have the third place match between Trump and Shoop. Both Trump, of course, is the more well-known player, but Shoop, certainly, I hope he has some following because he's actually made it through 2 of our open tournaments.
Yeah, they have a very similar lineup too, right? They're both bringing the mid-range Paladin. I guess the Warlock is different. It'll be the Malagos Warlock versus Hand Warlock, which I give a little bit of an edge to the Malagos Warlock on. And Druid versus Warrior. We never got to see Trump bring any of his other decks, unfortunately. He just played Paladin last series, and that one kind of let him down. So it'd be good to see some more diversity from his lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Although, like, I will tell you that it's almost certainly it's Patron Warrior and Handlock. Just watching his stream yesterday, I like to watch a lot of streams while I'm running the open tournaments just to see like how things are going. I watched your stream when you were climbing through our open tournament. You did pretty well, I have to say. Maybe,
Well, thanks.
yeah,
I got
maybe it's
first.
like
I hope so.
exactly like maybe it's like whoever stream I watch, like they just happen to do really well.
Don't
It's
say
fun
that too
to see.
loud, monk.
Uh, yeah, I just have all the luck in me, I guess. So we're gonna have a match between Shoop and Trump. Shoop is he's already actually qualified for our tournament. He's just playing in a lot of opens, trying to accumulate Geico points in order to qualify for the final tournament at PAX. Of course, the more tournaments you win and the more tournaments, the more open and feature tournaments you do well in, the more Geico points you accumulate. So at the end of the season, actually, the players with the most Geico points on each server will actually directly advance to the LAN finals. And Shoop, because he's already won a qualifier, and he's also at least gotten top 4 in this qualifier, he's going to be in a great position heading into the grand finals. He's going to have a great way to just actually qualify without even winning a future tournament. And that's especially important for him because he's told me he's actually wants to quit his job and just become a full-time Hearthstone player.
Cool. Maybe just to talk a little bit of the player perspective in these tournaments too. It can feel like if you guys watching, if you ever want to enter these tournaments, it's really easy to do it. You just go sign up on Liquid Hearth, and there's going to be a lot of these tournaments. So if you ever have an interest, this is like one that I recommend to my friends that like, hey, you should sign up for this. So just think about that, and it's easy to get into. You just need 3 decks, and you get to play against some of the best players. So it's a great experience too.
Yeah, the lineup of players at each of these tournaments is always really amazing. I think pretty much about 1 in 8 players is a known player, like a pro player. Like last time we had players like RDU, Trump. You, in fact, faced Tice NL in the open qualifiers, and you actually beat him. 6-0 is always playing in our tournaments. A lot of the Phone Tap, the recent ESL Legendary Series winner, he
Yeah.
always plays in our tournaments. So it's very possible that you're gonna hit a lot of big names.
Yeah, Silent Storm, RDU, like you just go down the list and there's a huge number of different people playing. And it's because of that open nature that it makes it so inclusive of other players that you get to experience all that difference.
Yeah, we're just waiting a bit on Trump right now. Perhaps he was so discouraged at losing his last match that he
Ah,
kind of had to take a little breather there.
I doubt it. Probably just playing three, when you play Hearthstone and you sit there for a while and then, okay, you need to look away from the computer for a little bit. I'm pretty sure he's a player that can take a loss and move on without a second thought.
Yeah. I was actually talking to Trump a little before his series, and he was saying that not only is like the qualification important to him, the actual BlizzCon points that are the Hearthstone World Championship points, I have to call it that. If he wins there, that's actually really important for him because if you get 3rd to 4th place in one of our tournaments, you get 1 Hearthstone World Championship point, and that 1 point can actually make a huge difference being a tiebreaker. Between like 8th place and 9th place, for example. And I know Trump really desperately wants to qualify for the Hearthstone World Championship finals. At the end of every season, like he talks to a bunch of us. He's always sitting around rank 10 or 20 with about 10 hours left to go, or like 5 hours left to go, and he asks us, hey guys, is this enough? Is this enough? Can I just sit on my rank? And we're like, no, Trump, you can't. And every single time he drops down like below the top 100 because of that. It's just a little unfortunate for him.
Well, he got it last month, right? I mean, he's definitely a good player, but I think previously he hadn't been playing with a stream delay too much, and the stream delay makes a huge difference on North America, especially as a streamer. You can recognize the amount of quality games you get increase when you put a stream delay on. So I think that like he's someone that should be able to make it to BlizzCon. You're right though; those points are really important. Like you are competing against all the other people earning points, and there are just so many opportunities to get them. You want to collect as much as possible to be able to get that position.
Every point matters. For example, in our open tournaments, you actually get 10 points for winning one of the open tournaments. So either Webster or Decky, they're going to be earning 10 points going into the BlizzCon, and that's going to be like pretty huge. Not only that, but the PAX Prime Finals will have a huge amount of BlizzCon points. I believe like the #1 player there wins something like 100 points.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and if you can qualify for that LAN finals, you're almost guaranteed to win a huge number of points. So again, not only the prize money, which again will be huge because the whole total prize purse of the tournament is going to be 60K, but also the BlizzCon points or the Hearthstone World Championship points will be huge as well.
Just to give maybe a bit of information on the points, I think you get 30 points for a top 20 finish on ladder and 40 points for a top 10 finish. So you picture that's ladder for an entire month. If you're playing in these open tournaments once a week, then you can easily accumulate a top ladder equivalent finish just by placing well in these. So it's pretty important.
Yeah, I actually just looked it up, and actually, if you qualify for the PAX Prime Finals, you're guaranteed at least 10 points. Just qualifying for those finals gets you 10 points. So that's pretty amazing there.
Oh, so we get to hop into the game already. It looks like it's going to be Paladin versus Paladin as well.
Oh, that's really interesting from Trump. He actually decided to not only keep the muster, but he because he has the coin, he decides, I'm just going to go for a straight up win. I'm going to go with muster into coin quartermaster, and that's probably going to give myself a huge advantage there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, that is going to work fantastically if what we see here is going to come true, because right now there's nothing from Shoop to play next turn, so he would likely just hero power. And then Trump should be able to keep all 3 of his guys on the board at that point. Oh, the Consecrate shows up to ruin the plan, though.
Yeah, it's going to ruin it. Like, it's such a big difference whether he has the Consecrate or not, because not only does Trump not get to execute his plan, but also this Quartermaster that Trump kept in his opening hand will be dead as well.
Oh, this just feels so terrible. I mean, there was nothing. Once you saw that Shoop did not muster there, you know that the only way he can possibly clear all of those creatures is with Consecrate. So that's your one fear right now. And Shoop picked it up right at the last second.
The same thing happened to Trump in the previous Paladin versus Paladin mirror, where Trump got a pretty early lead in terms of board control, then he got a muster for battle up, but it was just answered so soundly by a Consecration. I think this time it'll be a lot better though, because Consecration effectively only killed like 2 cards, like the Zombie Chow, half of a Zombie Chow, and half of a muster for battle. Whereas the previous game, it just did so much. It killed the muster for battle, and I believe it killed 2 additional minions as well. And Trump he's just had such a meager hand after that.
Yeah, I think in this position, like, Trump is actually still ahead on the board at this point with him playing first. But just because he has no big creature in his hand, that his next few turns are going to mean he slows down a lot, which impacts how he's going to play out. If he had had a 6-drop into maybe like Emperor into Tyrion, that would have made this perfect. Even though he got Consecrated, he's still maintaining presence. The Nerubian Egg is surprisingly good here. He has a Blessing of Kings he could use on it later, and it protects him from any other Consecrates.
Yeah, and even if he Blessings of Kings it, I guess it's dangerous to silence, but if your opponent silences that Nerubian Egg, he gets double value from that silence, he still has Tyrion to worry about. And once your opponent has used his first silence, you know that probably he's only running one silence, so you can play Tyrion without any fear of recourse at all.
So this is a really tough situation for Trump to make a call on here. He picked up the other muster, so he could use that this turn, have his guys activated. He could have, if he didn't pick up muster, coined hero power and quartermastered, which was really strong. He would get 2 dudes and the quartermaster on the board strong. But in this case, I guess he's trying to play it next turn, which is still a good choice. There was a lot of different ways to go about how he wanted to approach that quartermaster most effectively, though.
And now there's going to be a pretty good knife juggler turn here for Shoop. But on the other side, Trump will be able to show off his own consecration and get back control of the board. After that, like you said, the first person who can get off the muster quartermaster combo will probably be in a good position. And from these positions, it looks like that person will be Trump.
It's really hard to say here. I mean, does he even consecrate next turn? He could take the gamble and hope his opponent doesn't have quartermaster, and then him quartermastering will be way stronger anyways. He's praying for some good juggles right now, though. Oh, wow. Shoop didn't use the muster. I guess he's scared of consecrate at this point. Maybe he wants to save it.
I think that's very fair as well.
This is the perfect opportunity now, though. It doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
So if Shoop had used his muster, I don't think Trump would have played the quartermaster there, which would have made Shoop's position a lot better.
But you do also have to consider that Trump would probably have consecrated the entire board, and Shoop would be left with pretty much only 3 cards in his hand right now. Oh, but Harrison Jones, what a perfect draw.
Yeah, that's a really good draw.
And even an equality to follow that up. So on the next turn, it's quite possible for Shoop to clear many of these minions.
This is a very tactical fight now. Like, even when we can see both of the players' cards, we still don't know what play they would make or what the best play is. But they also have that extra element of, oh, what does he actually have in his hand? Does he have a consecrator right now? Does he have a second quartermaster? So it's easy to gloss over these choices and think like that was the best play, but there's a lot of decision making going on here compared to some other battles.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially in these really scrappy battles where it's not really clear who's ahead all the time. And also there's just so many opportunities to get an advantage one way or another and so many cards in your hand. Especially also in the mirror battles where you really have to be really experienced as a mirror player. Trump, we all know him to be a Paladin player. That's one of his favorite classes. So maybe he has an advantage in that respect.
So there's a lot of choices here. He's going for the second quartermaster, and this will get punished really hard by that equality because presumably he's not going to trade. Wow, he is trading. The equality is still kind of good, but diminished a lot of it now. If he had kept all the 1/1s, he could have just traded those through for a really strong turn.
So after equality, there's also a lot of options remaining for Shoop. It's funny because we see one difference between the 2 decks. I have to imagine that they're essentially both running the same decks. One person, Shoop, is running Azure Drake, which is like the standard list, whereas Trump, he's well, actually, wait, Shoop was running Harrison Jones and Azure Drake, so that's actually not what you usually see. It's usually one or the other. So you have to think that Shoop, he might be cutting Blessing of Kings in his deck in order to fit both of them in.
Yeah, I think you're right that I don't think he has the Blessing of Kings. This is so scrappy. That was such a perfect word to describe it. I mean, look at how it's all boiled down now. We've seen 2 quartermasters played, equalities have been had, and suddenly it's back to just a 1/1 versus a 1/1.
Yeah. This is actually a very typical position that I get into when I play Paladin. Like, I use up all of my non-situational cards, and I end up with, like, this junk that's in my hand right now. Like, look at Trump's hand.
Well, it doesn't look that bad. He's sitting on equality consecrate, so he gets to choose if he wants to wait another turn to use that or not right now.
Yeah, it's not bad, but Trump's last turn, for example, was just hero power when he was floating on 9 mana. So sometimes the hands can get a little awkward.
He played second quartermaster next turn, right? Or last turn?
Yeah, Trump played both quartermasters. I believe Shoop has only played one.
Yeah. Okay, Tyrion, but of course, perfect answer to that. They're just answering each other's creatures right now and dealing no actual damage. It's almost tempting to, like, you'll silence for sure, I think, because you don't want to deal with that, but you want to use that Harrison to get a bit of extra stuff in your hand, so if you had a way to kill Tyrion, you might have done that and just burned through his Ashbringer with the Harrison. He didn't silence.
I think it's still okay, given that you can always do it next turn, and you're not really afraid of Tyrion dying this turn. Plus, like, this gives us somewhat of a stronger body on the board with the two shielded mini bot.
Yeah, that's true. The silence would have been traded on by the 1/1. Looks like Shoop does have the Blessing of Kings, though.
Yeah, so now I have to question, maybe Shoop cut one of the zombie chows in order to make room for both the 5 drops and the Blessing of Kings. Maybe he cut a Sledge Belcher, for instance.
Yeah, Paladin's a pretty malleable deck. There are certain things that you know you're going to take, like 2 True Silvers and a Tyrion, but there's a lot of cards that you don't need, and you get to play around with your situational mechanics instead.
It looks like Trump is going for the... I'm going to put all your minions to 1 health, and I'm eventually going to Harrison Jones this Tyrion.
Yeah, he definitely wants to Harrison it now, because he could have silenced before Peacekeepering, and that would deny the weapon, but getting the cards here is going to be really useful to him.
So in this matchup, Trump has actually drawn a lot of cards, both with his Lay on Hands, and eventually he'll draw a lot with his Harrison Jones. Do you think it ever comes to the time where you're afraid of fatigue, basically?
I mean, it might. When I play the more control-oriented Paladin, then fatigue's a pretty big consideration, but the mid-range Paladin rarely has enough draw to actually get through their deck, so they would just end up having 1 card against 1 card, and then some person gets an advantage.
Oh, fair enough. Now we can see this Owl kind of gets some extra silence value, but there's actually 2 like positive buffs on the Pilot Shredder, and 1 negative buff. So in the end, if he chooses to use the silence, it'll kind of even out.
This is a really weird position. Trump could have attacked with the True Silver last turn, right, onto the Tyrion, and then he would guarantee he would have killed it now. But he saved it, I guess, because he wanted to make sure Tyrion wouldn't die and give a charge of Ashbringer away. But now he can't kill Tyrion because the board got cleared.
Yeah, I think he was also confident that his opponent couldn't fully clear his side of the board, that he would have at least 2 damage to trade into the Tyrion along with his True Silver champion.
Oh, I feel like I need a drink. These battles there's so many possibilities. Like each turn, the players just having to make these incredibly tough decisions in a mirror match like this.
I think Trump should actually attack here because his opponent has already a weapon equipped, so he actually wouldn't essentially be giving his opponent a weapon if the Tyrion died.
Yeah, I agree. I like that play a lot.
Whoa, all to face.
I've got the beast in
Oh, what a terrible boombots once again from Trump. Trump just not getting the good boombot RNG today.
Yeah, those boombots have been pretty unfaithful. So, well, this turn's not that bad. He's looking at quite a bit of damage, but he's going to get all his card draw. He can kill the Dr. Boom and BGH with his True Silver.
Yeah, he can silence the Pilot Shredder even if he wants to.
He's got his own Tyrion now, and Shoop doesn't have an answer to that. So that could be almost game-ending. Tyrion's such a strong play in this match, and the weapon as well. Like, the body is pretty good, but once you get the weapon, you start either killing their creatures or just doing face damage. It's 15 damage of value, which as a Paladin is a really huge number.
Exactly, and now that Shoop has used his Harrison Jones already on Trump's 1-3 weapon, Shoop doesn't have that answer, so he needs to eventually draw into his Owl in order to answer Trump. He also has the opportunity to use the Aldor and then Owl the using the Aldor to stall and then Owl the Tyrion, but that's still not a good deal because if you Aldor and then Owl, you're giving your opponent a 6 attack creature.
That was some much better Boombot RNG for Shoop, killing both creatures and enabling him to clear the board completely if he wants. Harrison has seen some better days at a 1-1.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate that this board completely dies to the True Silver plus Consecration combo. Don't really see anything else at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good play here. And he can toss the Juggler down after if he wants. His hero power is pretty unimpressive now since he's already played both Quartermasters.
Yeah, and it'll be up to Shoop to draw into something that he can use. A Lay on Hands would be good here. It's really key that Shoop, he hasn't he's already used his big threat of the he's used both big threats actually of both Dr. Boom and Tyrion, and we don't see any signs of him running other threats like the Pilot Sky Golem that we saw from Deckies, for example.
This is going to be a really scary moment for Trump. He either could heal bot and save himself for sure, or he can play Tyrion and hope that that final card is not a silence, because then he would just die immediately to silence.
I think this might be the play to win though, because if you heal bot, then you're probably going to be left with the same situation in the next turn, plus you give your opponent one extra turn to draw into his Owl.
I like this play, but you can tell it's a risk, right? You can feel that pressure that Trump's under right now if he can actually survive with 6 HP here. That was a really good juggle for him to get that on the Sludge Belcher so he can take care of the Ooze too.
Really key. And now, not even a silence can win Shoop the game. So I guess he just has to do the best he can, play out all the cards.
It's boiling down to the top decks. Trump's the one with a bit of choices left. He's gone for the defensive route, I guess we could say, taking most of the damage on himself and saving his cards in exchange for more value.
I have to say, I'd probably like Trump to keep playing defensively, but I also think that Trump, he has to think, what can possibly kill me now? What is there? What can my opponent top deck? What can come out of the Shredder? And if there's nothing good that he can top deck, combined with nothing good that can come out of the Shredder, then maybe he goes for the Sylvanas play instead.
I kind of like Blessing of Kings on the Tyrion here just to protect his taunt and give him like a unit that he knows will stand up to the entire board. He would give it 10 health, so it would take a trade from everything to kill it. And if he traded the Knife Juggler, then the Tyrion wouldn't even be possible to die.
I think with this play, though, he's playing around a silence, so he's giving his opponent 2 things to silence, but his opponent can only do 1. Lay on Hands is a good draw, but is it too little too late at the moment?
Well, Muster Quartermaster is really good. He's at 30, so he's got time to play out his guys. Oh, is Trump really going to trade with the 1-1? You got to start doing damage at some point here, right? Like, now that he's Lay on Hands, you're actually at card disadvantage.
I think, I guess that's okay, because
yeah.
like, it's only going to do 1 damage anyway, right? Fair enough.
I'm almost out of cards.
Oh wow, I didn't notice that Shoop was so close to being out of cards here. So there's one card left for Shoop and 2 cards for Trump. Wow.
What a game.
Yeah, this game went faster than I thought. And you know what? I don't believe we've seen any zombie chows yet. Is that from Shoop at least, right?
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to say for sure.
So and we know there was 1 card cut from Shoop's deck, so it's very possible that either Shoop is not running zombie chows, or that last card is actually a zombie chow.
Yeah, if that last card's a zombie chow, then I think he probably loses, because the Sludge Belcher will be able to take the hits from the Quartermaster. He has 6/6 and a 5/5.
Has an equality been used from Shoop though? That might be a game-ending card as well.
Yeah, he used one equality when the double quartermaster came out from Trump.
Fair enough. Yeah, so typically this version of mid-range Paladin only runs one equality. So we're probably not going to see a game-changing equality here.
Double Sledge Belcher, that's pretty good stuff. How much damage? It's 12. 12 plus 4, 16 damage for Trump. If he trades in Tyrion, he does 4 more. So he's actually got 20 damage right now. But Shoop is at 21 health, so he's 1 damage off lethal. The ever-persistent problem of a Hearthstone player.
Yeah. Especially if you're forcing. Trump is kind of like the opposite of forcing, though. But,
Yeah.
you know, both types of people can come to the same problems.
Trump's going to be thinking about what cards he actually has left, because at this point you can make almost a full determination of what is in hand and what's in the deck, and so you know he's going to have all those cards available to him.
Yeah, he actually only has 1 card left, so that's going to be pretty huge. He determines that nothing can kill him right now. It's really key that he he knows like what cards are remaining or what cards have been used by Shoop so far. Oh, it's a Knife Juggler.
So I think you're right that Shoop had no Zombie Chows in his deck, which is a really big advantage in this battle. Obviously, you would never want to have a Zombie Chow once it's past turn 1. So he consecrates, trades 2 of them into the sludges. He can kill the oozes, but I think he still dies.
Yeah, just no taunts, no ways to heal at this moment. So it looks like Trump is going to take the first win in this broadcasted day so far. Congrats to Trump for finally winning a game and winning the Paladin Mirror at that.
I'm sweating for the players right now. That was such an intense game, all the way to the final cards, Paladin versus Paladin. Like, we could see the slower play definitely won out in the end, right? Trump did pressure really early with the double quartermasters, but he saved his Harrison for really late to get card draw to keep him in the game. He saved his silence, and he got to use that to remove the Blessing of Kings. It was all those little fractions of value that got him over the top at the end there.
Yeah, I have to say, probably Trump got a lot more value out of his Tyrion, whereas even though Shoop got an early advantage with Harrison killing off a 1-3 weapon, Trump was able to kill off a 5-3 Ashbringer with his Harrison Jones. So in the end, just that little bit of value ended up squeaking it out for him, I feel.
Okay, so Trump picks Paladin. It's really good to see Shoop did not, or Trump picks Warrior rather. It's good to see Shoop did not pick his Paladin again, because that would have been almost an auto loss. It's a very tough match.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I was gonna say it's very funny that Paladin, it used to be like one of the top classes, but once Patron Warrior was figured out, Paladin immediately went down to like pretty much the bottom in pretty much every ranking of the classes and of the archetypes. And now it's back in the metagame as players have been trying to figure out that how to beat patrons with Paladin. And also, like, basically Paladin is only like 1/10, 1/20th of the decks you face on ladder. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, on ladder we see aggro Paladin a fair amount too. I haven't seen it as much in tournaments, but it is a good answer to the warriors running around, because the aggressive Paladin with Divine Favor can put on so much early pressure that a Patron Warrior just doesn't have the ability to defend.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since like the Patron Warriors tend to just have a lot of cards in their hand at all times. That Divine Favor always gets so much value. Oh, this is gonna be pretty good. Emperor Thorsin.
Yeah, Innervate Emperor, never a bad play.
I have to say though that maybe the cards that he's getting Emperor may not be the best to Emperor. That's like, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here and look at the bright side of things.
I agree. I mean, his hand isn't super impressive with the Emperor. The biggest problem is when you get that Emperor out, and maybe your opponent doesn't have a way to kill it. So right now, it looks like Trump could execute it. He could slam it and trade the frothing as well, if he wanted to save the execute. It's just like a pretty good unit, even at this point in the battle, plus the mana advantage it gave.
Exactly. You force your opponent not to develop anything that turn. You force him not to play Deathspite into a possible coin, patron plus inner rage plus whirlwind turn, which kind of automatically loses you the game.
This is a pretty good position for Trump, though, to keep a frothing on the board, and the Druid has no creatures. He's got the Deathspite in hand, so I can try to set up some more stuff as well with that, like get the Acolyte damaged by the Deathspite Whirlwind on the next turn, and then Battle Rage. Not a lot of good ways to kill a Sledge Belcher, though.
Yeah, all these 5 HP minions are kind of like Trump's Bane these days. We saw in the previous matches he had the True Silver Champion, but he had no way to deal that 1 extra damage. He had Pilot Shredder a lot of times, but he had no way to deal that 1 extra damage against Sledge Belchers. And we're seeing the same situation yet again.
So let's pretend that Trump had used the Deathspite and traded the Frothing last turn. He would have had the Deathspite active this turn, and he would have been able to play the Acolyte and Battle Rage, but it would have required sacking the Frothing, which is a risky choice.
Exactly. This is also kind of a risky choice. He's hoping that Shoop doesn't have any spot removal or any kind of spell, but there's 3 of those in fact, and it's not going to be Trump's lucky day.
No. It's still not a bad position. There's so much card draw available to Trump right now, but he doesn't have any good units to really put down. He just has a lot of ability to get more cards.
We're going to see Trump potentially get a lot of cards here.
Yeah, he has to really waste the Deathspite, which is unfortunate too.
Does he have to waste the Deathspite though? Because he can possibly just get 1 card of the Acolyte and then Battle Rage for 2, with just using a plain Whirlwind, I guess.
Yeah, that's a pretty legit choice as well. I'm not sure. That's up to the player. Like, these Patron Warrior games get so complicated, right? It's really hard to know what they determine is the most value right now.
Yeah. Trump also has to consider perhaps my opponent is playing the Harrison Jones, which he might draw into eventually. But I don't think you can play around that in this matchup particularly, because it's such a huge swing that I think you just lose if you try to play around it as well.
If he had used the Deathspite to attack, he could have played both Battle Rages by playing the coin, which would have got him a lot more cards. I'm actually really surprised he used the Taskmaster there instead of Battle Rage, because it's 1 less card, and then the Acolyte is going to die pretty much for sure, so you won't get to Battle Rage with it after.
It looks like he's trying to play a bit more risky and hoping that his Acolyte might survive to the next turn, because he's already seen 1 swipe, and he's hoping that maybe you don't have any other ways to deal damage to my creatures behind a taunt. Maybe he's going for that huge Battle Rage, which he's almost certainly not going to see here.
Commanding Shout, a great card. I like that a lot in my Patron Warrior list. Doesn't do much, though, when you don't have any creatures in your hand. Needs to find the Patron and Warsong Commander, really, to punish this board.
Yeah. Would you then say that it's maybe kind of like a win more card?
Commanding Shout? I think Commanding Shout is like an activator. It's similar to a Whirlwind or an Inner Rage, where you can play the Patron charge combo with that, and you don't even need any other activators, so then you can save up your Whirlwinds for the Frothings.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. This one time I thought I was in an unlosable position against the Patron Warrior because I had a Ysera on the board, but then my opponent just like played that combo with the Commanding Shout, and my Ysera was just gone right there. It was really sad.
Yeah, it's gone, and he has a whole bunch of Patrons.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't kill any of them. It was just all together really sad. I didn't get Ysera Awakens, unfortunately, so the game turned around completely from there.
Okay, so he used up the weapon, and eventually he did end up attacking the Ooze, but these are really good Battle Rages now, too. He could go for the second one. He has 8 cards, so he just has to throw away 1 card if he goes for the second one, and then he won't overdraw.
The unstable ghoul looks to be a good one to me. It seems like it contests a lot of the stuff that's on board. But
He's not going to go for the second one. Interesting. Because he didn't draw anything very good there, right, in my opinion. He's looking for still his combos, which haven't shown up. Well, Harrison Jones is going to be pretty good in a minute.
Exactly. Maybe, I think as Shoop, maybe I'm looking to bait out this, perhaps bait out this Death Bite. And I was going to say maybe even play the Keeper of the Grove to bait it out, but he got something a lot better here with the Ancient of War.
Yeah, that was really good off the top. Trump still has no charge, no patron in his hand. We're getting up, no Emperor either. We're getting up to the really high mana values now, whereas the Druid, you're feeling like, oh no, he can play things to kill my entire board on the same turn.
Yeah, and we have to, again, like you said, Popform, you kind of question his decision not to play the second Battle Rage on the previous turn. And instead, he just has to play it this turn, which is quite unfortunate. Oh, Emperor there, though. Wow. That's pretty huge. On this hand, that's pretty amazing. Like, he wishes he had a Green Patron in his hand, but I think still this is going to be pretty good, especially since you have your War Song, you have your Inner Rage already, which is, I guess, not too relevant, but you also have Frothing, and you have that Commanding Shout for when you eventually do draw into your Green Patron.
Yeah, he also is 1 damage off of dying to combo. Oh, he's going to execute, too. That's a nice play there, because then the Emperor is actually a threat on the board. Even if he hadn't executed, the combo would be 27 damage, and he had 28 health, so he was actually safe there.
Ancient of War is drawn, and we can see, because Trump has already used both executes, that this Ancient of War could be really huge for Shoop.
Trying to look at how much damage Trump has available. So if he sets up the Death Bite, he can do the Unstable Ghoul with charge to get an extra Whirlwind. I think if there's like 3 to 4 creatures on the board, it's looking pretty good. But yeah, the Ancient of War is going to be a big problem.
Yeah, but without the double executes left in Trump's deck, because he's already used both, the other option is still for Trump to draw into one of his patrons and just kill it off with the combination of Commanding Shout and the Grim Patrons, and of course the Warsong Commander. That could be pretty good as well.
This is a really tough call. Maybe you trade the Shade, Hero Power, and play the Ancient of War. Is he going to do Sylvanas? Yeah, I like the Sylvanas here too. It's a really tough creature to remove as the Patron Warrior because you need to use a weapon, and then there's no weapon ready, plus Shoop has the ability to take it down once it goes up.
Yet another very, very difficult turn for Trump. I'm really liking the games we've seen today, and it just seems like Hearthstone is in a pretty interesting position, because pretty much like half the turns we've seen have been really difficult for all the players involved, especially with this Green Patron deck that is pretty much the hardest deck to pilot it right now, I believe.
Well, yeah, the Patron and the popularity of Warlocks, and Warlock normally rewards players for playing very tactically with the hero power, so I agree with you. I think Hearthstone's in a great position right now where the decks that get brought for most success are often the ones with the most complex decision that we get to see the pro players struggle with and try to make the correct ones. It's getting pretty ugly.
Exactly. I mean, if you have to do that kind of play, I would have to say you're probably not in a great position.
The Patron shows up, and he does have the Commanding Shout Patron combo available, so he can take down the Ancient of War really effectively. Plus, with no swipe ready for Shoop, then all the 1 health patrons pose a huge threat.
It's going to be a little unfortunate for Shoop that Trump will get full value off this Acolyte, but I think with this board, he's still kind of happy about it. But just like you said, there's always the threat of this combo coming down, and there's just so much damage right now.
Okay, so this is a big moment here. Probably play the Armor Smith with it. He can squeeze the Armor Smith in with the combo. You can do the Commanding Shout first and it still works, so then you get to see the card draw.
What now? Charge forward.
I'm just ready to see what happens here. Every time one of these boards happen, I just like kind of sit back and relax, enjoy the fireworks, pretty much.
Yeah. So he drew Whirlwind. If he had Commanding Shout at first, he could have seen the Whirlwind, but he wanted to squeeze the Frothing in, so he might be able to pull off something really ridiculous this turn.
Yeah, we're gonna see essentially a full board clear here. Is Trump gonna rope though? That's the big question. Trump, very known as someone who roped a lot in the early days of Hearthstone, but I think he's kind of taken care of it now, gotten it under control. Trump has also seen one swipe already, and both wraths. So it's probably going to be very difficult for Shoop to clear this board.
Yeah, I think Trump wasn't amazingly happy with that play just because his board got filled up, and if he had one more space on the board, he could have traded a patron into Sylvanas, and then just probably a 1 health patron would be stolen instead. In this case, though, he's still in a great position. Like, the taunt will be the thing that comes down. Oh, he steals the full health patron, though, and it has charge, so he can kill the War Song, and then he gets another patron. That was a huge deal to get the one with full health. That was a 1 in 6.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, it feels like Trump was in a dominating position right there, but now the game has just, like, switched up once again.
Okay.
Like, basically Trump's only way to get through that Ancient of War effectively was with his Commanding Shout, and now he can't do so at all. Not only that, if he somehow miraculously gets through this Ancient of War, he has to deal with the second of Ancient of War, which I have to feel is going to be nigh impossible.
Yeah, it's looking really tough. So he can do trade in 2 of them, play a Whirlwind, but then Shoop gets another patron as well, and he won't be able to kill those. That was really disastrous that he got the full health patron, because otherwise the Whirlwind would be a great way to answer this. There would be only, there'd be no patron on the board. He would have died to kill the commander. There'd be only the Ancient of War, and then he would get to keep some of his own patrons.
I think it's at least lucky for Trump right now that Shoop pretty much has run out of ways to spawn more patrons, short of a Keeper of the Grove to his own patrons, because he's already used both Wraths, at least.
That other Ancient of War is going to be maybe the nail in the coffin for this game. They really showed how strong they were in this match. I hadn't considered them against Patron too much. I always thought of it as an anti-aggro card, but once those executes are gone, you see the frustration on Trump's face there as the second one comes down. It's just this mountain to try to climb over.
Yeah, I think Trump is actually very familiar with Ancients of War because he actually used to play Ramp Druid and a patron-filled meta in order to counter patron warriors, and he's just kind of feeling the pain right now.
I don't think there's any way out of this situation. He could exactly kill the Ancient of War, yeah, by trading every creature.
Yeah, but then he knows, like, he's given up both his charge minions, he's given up both his Warsong commanders, both his Frothing Berserkers, both his Grim Patrons, and he pretty much, after he somewhat clears the board, he has no answer after that. He pretty much had no threats left, no win conditions left, so he gives it up, even though he wasn't necessarily dead on board.
You have to feel for Trump a little never lucky baby rage there that he lost the full health patron to the Sylvanas when that was the only one that was going to be able to spawn more patrons. And then he didn't have the full health one either to allow him to get more on the next round. So there was a huge difference on that 1 in 6 deal.
You have to feel that Sylvanas is kind of the MVP of the night. We saw it swing a lot of games early on in the tournament. Of course, you have to remember that that game where Sylvanas just kind of turned the game around by being played against the Ysera when the Warrior didn't have an Iron Beak Owl or any kind of silence at all. And once again, this Sylvanas getting kind of a lucky steal, it changed the game completely, turned it around on its head. And now Trump, at least is going to be tied 1-1. Still not hopeless at all for Trump. And we're going to see kind of the battle between Patron and Handlock versus Paladin and Malagos Warlock. So from my perspective, it seems like Patron will do really well against the Paladin, and then the Malagos Warlock will do really well against Trump's Handlock. So again, both players have 2 decks left, and I think it's going to be a huge mind game of what players match up in the next set.
Yeah, you're right. That the next series depends or determines a lot. Like if Patron Warrior is picked against Paladin, so then as Trump, you might be thinking, okay, he's not going to pick Paladin because he knows that would be vulnerable to my Warrior, so maybe he would try to get his other deck out. Looks like Trump picked Warrior, and it was Warlock for Shoop, which is probably the best match that Shoop could hope to get in this.
Yeah, exactly. I think Shoop is definitely very happy here.
This is not like a huge advantage, though. It goes either way for sure. The Warlock is just the class with the ability to remove the patrons so that you can't guarantee the patrons to stay on the board. It means that you have to look to set up a better burst combo to win.
Yeah. A lot of spectator bugs today, unfortunately. I have to say it's probably, I would have to guess maybe because of the patch.
Yeah.
But you know, we learn, we live, we play Hearthstone. And we continue on with this game, which has gotten underway here.
Well, Trump's hand's looking pretty good with the Emperor. I think he kept that on the mulligan, which is a really smart choice in this matchup because you know that there's not going to be a lot of pressure in the first couple turns, so you want to look for that combo that you can set up later.
Oh, that Gnomish Inventor kind of surprised me a bit. I thought that was almost a for sure Deathspite attack, but maybe this makes sense because he has the Emperor in hand. I'm not completely sure here, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, it does allow him now to kill the Drake and keep the weapon on, so I think in the end this looks nicer, but it's true that Gang Boss is like something that you really look at as dying to Deathspite, so. Wow, Shoop life taps there, saving the Sludge Belcher. So he knows that Sludge would die to the weapon, but Sludge is a big risk later in the battle with that ooze allowing you to spawn more patrons.
Yeah, but I think with the same thought process, I think the Imp Gang bosses are also liabilities in the late game, so you probably want to get those out as soon as possible as well.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the Gang Boss is more of a liability because it actually spawns extra 1/1s. Trump's hand is absolutely insane right now for a Patron Warrior hand. He just needs the Warsong Commander. Everything else is pretty much perfect. He has a Whirlwind, he has a weapon, Frothing, Commanding Shout, Battle Rage. The Warsong Commander is going to be a sticking point because it's not very useful unless they actually attack on the same turn.
Again, it's going to, like, even though Trump's hand is so good, it's going to be a fairly difficult turn for him. Because you know that the Warlock, it has quite a few AoE spells, like the Hellfire, and Shoop might have actually been playing 2 Hellfires in this tournament, which we saw from his last series. And he also might be playing a Shadow Flame as well. So just a lot of AoEs all around.
This is a pretty bold play. So he's just going to go for it and hope that the patrons stick, which, oh, he can get the Battle Rage in, actually, so I like this a lot.
Yeah, he's hoping that like it's somewhat of a threat, but at the same time, like he doesn't expect this to work at all, to be honest. And then afterwards, he's gonna refill his hand with Battle Rage, hopefully draw into the Warsong Commander and use that to finish off the game. Also, with this play, because he fills patrons on the board, he's forcing his opponent to use mana, expend mana on the next turn, so he won't be able to develop anything that impactful.
Yeah, it always feels like, well, there's a chance I could win, so I might as well try it. But having the Battle Rage there makes that a guaranteed good play. So Trump uses the 2 Dread Corsairs in his Patron Warrior list, eh? I see a lot of people play just 1 because it can be a bit of a dead card in a deck which needs so much card draw.
Yeah, exactly, but maybe it's a call for anti-aggro, which I think makes a lot of sense in an open qualifiers where you expect, at least in the early rounds, for a lot of people to be beating Zoo and a lot of hunters as well.
Yeah, Trump's lineup is actually very focused on anti-aggro, like we saw the Paladin with Double Zombie Chow, right? So it probably is the theme of his strategy to just crush through any aggro deck in the lineup.
Again, kind of an awkward turn for Trump. He doesn't have any whirlwind activators. He doesn't even have a weapon to get rid of this Earthring Farseer.
Honestly,
So-
you could just armor and pass this turn. You're not under too much pressure here.
That's very true. Like any minions you play, with the exception of like maybe Unstable Ghoul, are like it might even be a liability to I don't know, maybe like an implosion. But then again, you have like if your opponent implosions, you're perfectly happy with that because
To
you have
me-
the Warsong Patron combo. Go ahead.
To me, I'm looking at the combo for Trump as 10 mana Warsong Commander Patron Frothing Commanding Shout. So he would actually want the opponent to stack up creatures. Even if they're high attack creatures, he just needs to be able to bounce patrons around to give the frothing damage. And it's a perfect 10 mana combo. So, like, kind of delaying the board here, but still letting creatures be played could be really helpful.
Again, it might be an awkward turn for Trump here. Still, like, there's not enough minions on Shoop's side of the board. And because of that, there's not enough damage from Trump's hand. So I think he just has to go with like a simple execute play. And if Shoop, he just plays like really solid minions on the board, like healing himself back up maybe, it might be possible for Shoop to just like win out of nowhere because his opponent never has enough damage for the combo. And we actually saw that in a game between, I believe, Dog and Chalky, where Dog was playing Patron and Chalky was playing Control Warrior. Chalky had so many plays. Like, for example, on turn 10, he just had one minion on the board, and it was something like a Shield Maiden. And he always had the opportunity to play Ysera. He had an opportunity to play Dr. Boom. He even had an opportunity to just like play Grom straight up on the board, but he never played any minions. He just armored up every single turn in order to make sure he could never die from any sort of ridiculous combos.
Oh, this is such a last second decision. Can he get the patron attacks off?
Look at that.
The patron rope, man. Well, he got the board clear at least. And there is no Hellfire now. Like, you'd be really nervous of Hellfire, but in fact, this is a very dominating board by Trump here.
Yeah, Trump didn't get that last attack off, but I don't think it's such a huge deal. But this is kind of a risk here, to be honest, because it's your second green patron.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk.
But that being said, though, Shoop can easily get rid of all the patrons that are full HP, which is just the one, and he gets rid of the charger. So these patrons that are left on the board are essentially just 3/1s, which probably don't do too much.
Double Frothing shows up. So he needs to put together the Double Frothing with charge to win, which is a really good win condition in this match because the Warlock never has full HP, so you hardly even need an activator. If you drew Warsong, you could play Warsong, Double Frothing, and Unstable Ghoul, so he at least has one Whirlwind available.
Trump, I think his strategy now is just to like control the board as much as possible and eventually draw into the Warsong, which he does so immediately. So next turn, Trump is even threatening lethal. If he can somehow draw into, well, he already has a Whirlwind activator with the Unstable Ghoul. So maybe Trump actually just goes for face here and doesn't actually clear these 1/1s. I think that's like definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I like that play, although going face with the Armor Smith might be a tell. Like, you do want to have him with as many creatures as possible, but he knows if you go face with the Armor Smith that he's looking at dying next turn. And so he'll make whatever maximum defensive play he can find. Oh, this is very tense now.
Yeah, just so many tense games all around. It's a non-stop flurry of games that can just be decided so easily on the kind of on a whim even. Shoop is making the correct decision though, getting rid of all his useless minions. You have to wonder though, like, is it even a good idea to silence this Acolyte of Pain? It's funny because you almost always want to silence, especially 3/2 Acolytes of Pain, but I think at the same time you don't care. You care more about these minions not being on the board rather than you care about this Acolyte of Pain drawing a card.
Okay, so I think he has no way through the Azure Drake, right? He'd have to set that up for another turn, but he has a lot of time to do that.
Well, you can
With-
execute actually, but then I'm not sure if you have a way through the zombie chow actually. Oh,
You
you do
won't-
with the whirlwind.
He won't be able to afford to clear and play both Frothings on the same turn. The Whirlwind does let him execute, but he still, yeah, he wouldn't be able to kill the Zombie Chow. He has so much health, though, I think he just waits one more turn and deals with those minions. Then there's only like 2 minions on the board, though. It's getting really complicated.
So you definitely want to play the as part of your combo, you want the Frothing Berserker, the second Frothing Berserker, and the Warsong Commander. So that is going to be 8 mana, so you have 2 mana left. And I think you kind of have to decide right now which of your minions, whether you want to use the Unstable Ghoul or the Whirlwind to activate those Frothing Berserkers, because you can't have the best of both worlds. And you need to use one of those, either the Unstable Ghoul or the Whirlwind, to proc your Execute. So I think one of those is definitely going to come down at the moment.
To me, I mean, if I'm in Trump's shoes, I'm just praying for the Death Bite. There's one Death Bite left. There's about 10 cards. He can wait for quite a few turns and just not do anything. But if he gets that weapon, suddenly his combo becomes one of the 30 damage, one-hit kill combos that will go through taunts as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Shoop is sensing that. I mean, if a Patron Warrior armors up on turn like 15 or something with 10 cards in his hand, you definitely know something is up.
Well, still no Death Bite. Like, there isn't a lot of ways to get to the Death Bite faster now, because he played Battle Rages already. He played the Gnomish. He probably has, like, a Loot Hoarder, but then that would take at least another turn. You're just looking for that off the top.
And judging from what we can see on screen right now, Trump actually does have a sizable number of cards left in his deck. So maybe I think you just go for it, use the Whirlwind plus Execute even. I think that's actually an okay play because you've already seen the Sludge Belcher, I believe, from this deck, and you know probably your opponent only plays one Defender of Argus. So if you just use both your Executes here, that means your opponent won't have any more taunts.
Yeah, you can see Trump really thinking about it. Does he want to go now? Does he want to wait for later? Now it's getting to the point of maybe dying next turn if there was a Malagos combo available. So getting pretty scary, but he can probably wait one more.
Oh, not even playing the Dread Corsairs here. Oh, but the second heal bot. That's going to be pretty huge.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't play at least one Dread Corsair, because you don't need those to win. If you get the Death Bite, you already have so much Whirlwind damage available.
The funny thing here is the antique heal bot actually only heals you for 4 HP essentially, because the Frothings, or rather for 6 HP, because the Frothings will get buffed because there's an extra minion on the board.
Yeah, with that many minions on board, the Whirlwinds are adding 14 damage each with double Frothing. And then, so with 7 minions, one of them would die. Trump would have 3 minions. Then you double that. Each Frothing is looking at 20 plus damage.
Is this too late though? Oh, at least finally there's the Death Spite. And you know what? There is a Zombie Chow on board, so you can actually heal up here. And I would have to think execute the Azure Drake, but then let's see how much damage left is on the board. So there's 2 from the Argus, and then 11 from the remaining of the board, so that's 13 damage. You heal 5 with the Zombie Chow, but you also take 3. And that puts Trump out of lethal, but if his opponent has any sort of combo with Malagos, you're still dead.
He does have those Dread Corsairs that he can hope will block an attack, which seems like a good opportunity to use them now. doesn't play them.
I think he doesn't want his opponent to have something that he can that can easily trade into, because he wants more minions on the board.
Is that enough? 7. Yeah, it's exactly full.
Yeah, a little unfortunate here.
Even if he had played one Dread Corsair, he still would have died because there was a silence, so he would have had to play both Dread Corsairs.
Yeah, and I think from Trump's perspective, I think he thought that he needed those Dread Corsairs in order to get extra damage on the board, in order to get 6 extra charge damage, in addition to 2 more bodies that will get affected by the Whirlwind effect, so that the Frothlings would be buffed even more. It's all like due to Shoop healing so well with his deck. He's getting both anti-heal bots back in just to get to full HP, and you'd really need like a huge combo like that from the Grin Patron Warrior in order to burst down 30 damage.
Yeah, that death bite was so late too. Like there was a couple turns there where he was just sitting on ridiculous amounts of health, and if he had the death bite, he could have prepared lethal next turn, but on the final turn where he drew death bite, he dies to exact lethal, which is pretty unfortunate.
And now we're going to see Shoop left with his remaining deck, which is going to be a pretty horrible matchup against Patron Warrior. It's probably the reason that mid-range Paladin kind of like got out of the meta in a certain week. And I believe like we always have these like power rankings on Liquid Hearth, and I believe one week Paladin was actually rated as the worst class, even below mid-range Shaman. Pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean, on ladder it's a little different, right? In tournament play it seems pretty effective because there's so many Warlocks around, and Paladin does have a pretty good matchup against Warlocks with the ability to board clear and Peacekeepers and whatnot, and just give you a lot of versatility.
But you know what? If Paladin is going to win a matchup, I think that's kind of like the hand that you want. I guess except, like, I guess now that the Acolyte of Pain is drawn, it's slightly different. But before that, that was pretty much perfect, or perfect for Shoop at least, to have his opponent have that kind of hand.
Yeah, and then double juggler into muster, that early pressure is really useful.
Trump is desperate enough to throw this Acolyte of Pain out there. But you know what? It's still okay, because if one of the Knife Jugglers trades into it, then he'll get extra value off of Whirlwind.
He actually didn't play the muster. Maybe he just knows that a Whirlwind is required here, but I don't think it is. I think, yeah, Death Bite's going to be a better answer now.
And this Death Bite is going to be just so huge. Not only is it able to completely clear the board eventually, but perhaps he can even set off a Patron. Oh my god, Harrison Jones though.
So, the creatures will still die when he Harrisons it. If Trump was to attack now with the Patron, could still be cleared by Shoop. He would need like an Inner Rage to actually make it happen here. I guess he's contemplating attacking. Against a Paladin, you don't need to use the Patron early. You can use it later, and then Paladins have really specific answers to it that they might not have drawn yet.
So this is going to be kind of an interesting dynamic. The board will be cleared, but do you really want to use Consecrate here, or do you feel safe enough to throw down a Sludge Belcher? I mean, if Trump has something like the Warsong Commander plus Inner Rage, it could be disastrous for you. But we can see Trump's hand is pretty terrible otherwise.
He's at 10 health, but it's actually not that bad of a position, because you know that the Paladin's not going to be bursting you down, so you could be really greedy here. Tyrion Forging would be quite useful in 2 turns.
Unfortunately, it seems like Shoop will be floating quite a bit of mana right now. Like he can, True Silver seems obvious. Then if you hero power, that doesn't do much, and you really want something like a 6-drop here. Perhaps Sylvanas might be good. Overall, like turn 6 seems to be kind of a weak one for Paladins because they don't have a lot of 6-drops.
Was he playing Emperor in his deck?
No, I don't believe so. If most of the lists that copy the Xerxes list don't have Emperor, because if you watch his video, the one that he made after playing Paladin to rank 1 legend, he's saying Emperor is such a terrible card, and I actually, at least in Paladin, and I have to agree with him, but Emperor, I don't think it's a terrible card here.
Yeah, I mean, I like it in Paladin, but probably when you're playing the more aggressive style of Paladin, it's right that you don't need the mana advantage. You're looking for those early turns to hit harder.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense. It's interesting that Trump didn't decide to go for the Emperor straight away, but I think that's because he feels like he wants to fill his hand as much as possible right now and to get even more value out of the Emperor. And it's exactly like you said, because the Paladin doesn't have a lot of ways to burst you down, you feel like you can get a lot more value off the Paladin or off the Emperor and play a bit more greedily.
Yeah, it feels really similar to a priest match in that way, where you can just know that they're not going to kill you, so you get to set up your ideal combo for how you want to win, which is what a patron warrior is glad to do at all points in the game. Pretty weak turn from Shoop, especially if Emperor comes down next turn. It's going to beat the Sludge Belcher, and if he plays Emperor, I guess you could muster Quartermaster is actually really good, because I was thinking you would want a Tyrion on 8, and then you can't do that once there's an Emperor there, but having that Quartermaster combo could be really strong.
So as the Paladin expert here, Potform, when is it that you actually just stop hero powering? When you have just 2 mana left and you don't hero power against the Grim Patron Warrior?
I think as soon as you don't have a taunt in the way, then you would want to stop hero powering. Well, on turn 8 or once you've seen Emperor, but if you have a taunt in the way, like once there's a Sludge Belcher there, it's not such a big deal because you know the Sludge Belcher could impact you anyways, and then if he actually has that, well, it might be worth the risk because it's an unfavored match anyways.
And wow, this is looking pretty terrible here. I don't believe there's actually a way for this Emperor to be cleared here. So maybe
Yeah,
he just has to go for the YOLO.
He can do it with trading
yeah.
both in the weapon attack.
Yeah, that's right. My bad. Yeah, just exactly 5 damage there.
Still a tough call though, and then Trump has maybe lethal with all the creatures on the board. He's got double Whirlwind. He can throw down 4 creatures himself by playing 2 War Songs, Armorsmith, and Frothing. And then there would be 4 creatures for the Paladin. Maybe not. The Frothing would be like 18 damage. That's going to be really close, actually. The Frothing would be 18, I think. Oh, is he going face, actually? Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I really didn't expect that at all, to be honest.
I guess he figures he's going to kill him next turn, so then the Emperor won't matter. I feel like Trump might have lethal here, though, with that many creatures on the board. Because the Emperor's alive now, too, and the Dread Corsair. It's like 12 damage per Whirlwind, giving the Frothing 26 attack, plus he gets to hit with other things. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he can kill in this turn.
Yeah, it's...
You can double check that math if you want.
I think this is one of those turns where you don't really care too much, and you just go for it. Wait, does he still have lethal?
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4...
He can play. He can play everything.
He still has everything. Yeah, he still has everything. So,
but he might not have counted then. Like if he was drawing a card with commanding.
He also has to be wary of the animations for the Frothing Berserker.
The Frothing's a lot more forgiving now. Oh, he's slammed.
Oh man.
I think he missed it.
Yeah, I think this is just over.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, he got a lot of armor there. Well, actually, no, that was more of a clear than I thought.
To miss lethal there, though, I'm 99% sure he had lethal there. But it is tough to do all that math, especially when you're under pressure. Like I had been looking at that for 3+ turns in advance, trying to figure out how much damage there was.
Yeah, so Trump, a few days ago, he had this like seminar where he actually spent half an hour to decide if he actually missed lethal, and I think this could be one of those things as well, where Trump takes a look back at this VOD, takes a look at everything, and he's like, oh, maybe I did miss lethal here.
Yeah,
And
it's always like, as a patron warrior, it's one of the most difficult things to spot every possibility, right? And then you don't want to ever go for it if it's not lethal, because suddenly you're going to lose. So he took the safe play instead.
Yeah. Some of these lethals are also really complicated. Like, there's a lot of people on Reddit discussing it afterwards, and not even they can agree on like what's lethal. They have to have like an actual debate before they can figure out exactly how to lethal the opponents.
Yeah, I saw that post that Trump had made, and it was really complicated, especially with like taunts in the way. Once you're trying to deal with taunts and how to kill the taunt most efficiently while giving max damage, gets insanely complicated. I mean, he's not out of it yet, but that was a missed opportunity.
I think this is kind of still okay, though. He can almost play his entire hand here and develop a pretty decent Grim Patron board. He does give his opponent the Ashbringer, though, so Trump has to make sure that he pretty much wins in the next 2 turns.
No way to execute the Tyrion. He gets to bounce 1 patron off the Quartermaster, which is good at least. Oh, he hits it.
Whoa.
That's pretty risky. He dies to Consecrate, but that's a good play here, I guess. It doesn't have Consecrate, so...
Yeah, and I'm not sure if a Consecrate has been played yet, but yeah, this is basically just, do you have the Consecrate? And if Shoop doesn't, that's just still might be game over.
He did. He played 1 Consecrate to kill the first patron.
So you can BGH, you can
Sludge and kill the charge.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Is that enough? And
I think he lives. He would still take a bit of damage with the execute on Sludge.
it's just so back and forth at this moment. You can't even, like, you definitely don't hero power here. Does he think that...
Hero powered.
Well, I guess... I'm not sure. Like, I guess if you don't know that your opponent doesn't have an execute, then I guess it makes sense in a way.
Yeah, yes. And also you just want to do as much damage as possible, probably, so when the warrior's at 7 HP, you're looking for every single point of damage you can find.
Yeah, and in addition, I think Shoop, first of all, he doesn't expect that there's going to be a taunt coming on the field, and also he expects that one of the patrons will trade into the BGH because of how threatening that is.
I hope Trump can still win. It would be so heartbreaking to lose on a miss lethal like that as patron warrior. He's in a dominating position here. Like, there has to be a really good draw from the Paladin to win.
Consecration, maybe? Oh, anti-Keelbot. That actually at least delays the game a bit longer. It's a little sad that Shoop, he's had this Harrison Jones in his hand the entire time, but he's not been able to play it. And you might have to think that perhaps you just play Harrison Jones here.
I would probably lean towards a Peacekeeper, just because you want to limit damage as much as possible. But yeah, Harrison's a pretty good play, because there's only increments of 3 damage, so he wouldn't be able to kill it. If he had drawn Silence, he would have won. Silence the Dread Corsair, and he does 9 damage exactly.
Trump, you can see he's struggling right now. This, like, we've seen so many close games throughout this tournament so far, but this is probably the closest one. Like, both players are always just 1 or 2 points off from killing each other, like 1 taunt away, perhaps even.
Plays the Peacekeeper. I think I actually like your idea with the Harrison better, because any top deck still kills him. Yeah,
Oh, well,
he dies.
there it is.
Wow. Life saved for the Miss Lethal. Well, we get to continue on to the final match of the series. That was a really close game.
Yeah, exactly. When just like Trump, at least in that game, he wasn't 1 point off from lethal. So it's gonna be a 2-2 series. We're in a tied game, and once again, it's gonna go to the rubber match. A lot of like close series today, even though we did have Decky's 3-0 Trump. Everything else was really close, and even in Decky's match, even though the series match score was 3-0, I think it belied the fact that that match was actually really close as well.
Well, and they're all really cool decks to watch perform. Like, they've been good control decks where we get to see the players use a lot of decision making, right? There hasn't been anything too rush oriented, which I think makes it a lot more interesting to observe when we get to like see the full emphasis of their ability.
Yeah. It just feels like the Zoo decks, the Mech Mage deck, the Mech Shaman deck, even Phase Hunter hasn't been really that impactful or really like huge lately. And whereas like the Malagos decks are coming up, Patron decks are coming up, so it's kind of really like a slower metagame even.
So this match I normally give a little edge to the Paladin, just because Peacekeeper is so good and Equality is so good, and Shoop opens with the Equality in his hand already, which is going to mean he's really good at killing the Giants. But the double Equality that you would use in a more control-oriented Paladin is a much stronger addition to the lineup in this match. So maybe with just one, he won't be able to deal with the second round of creatures.
You have to kind of even wonder, are the Mountain Giants even too slow in this matchup, especially against this type of board where you're kind of expecting your opponent to possibly have a Quartermaster?
Yeah, it's really scary as the Warlock in this match because there are just hard answers to what you're playing. You can get silenced or you can get BGH'd. There's Peacekeepers, there's Equality, so pretty much everything you do is a risk, and you just have to determine what's an acceptable risk on that turn.
Yeah, very well put. And I think judging from that play, Trump might actually make the call that perhaps there's no Quartermaster in hand right now. Especially because like he can see these mouse movements by Shoop, and like if I am seeing these mouse movements, these particular mouse movements, I'm thinking this is probably indecision from Shoop. Although like you could turn it all around and just this could be just a total mind game.
Yeah, that could have been a total mind game, but I think you're right that he would expect no Quartermaster at this point once you traded recruits in. It's interesting he didn't attack the Twilight Drake with his weapon, because then it would die to Hellfire, but I guess... Or well, it would, because he'll trade the Twilight Drake, right? Oh, he's not even going to Hellfire.
Wow.
Interesting. Because he has no Moltens in hand, so I would expect that like taking continuous board damage would be really scary. But maybe he wants to bluff Moltens here, since the Paladin only has a few cards, the Paladin might not be able to answer it.
We do see that he has the Equality though, so at least he has one way to answer any Moltens. In fact, if double Molten Sun Fairy were played somehow, it'd actually be pretty disastrous for Trump.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Shoop didn't just go all for it there. Since he has the Equality ready, he could test and see what's actually going to come out to play.
This is kind of an awkward situation as well. You can always get like the 3-mana Giant, but afterwards, what do you do then? Like Trump will float 2 mana again this turn.
And nothing kills the Sludge Belcher either.
No. So, and the last 2 turns, Trump has actually floated 4 mana. It's usually pretty impactful, but I think sometimes, if one deck can get away with that, I guess it's Handlock.
To the face.
Alright, it's time. I think he can do this confidently because there are no, because he has an Equality in hand, and he's not too afraid of, he's not as afraid of Shadowflame as he would be, because if his opponent had like an Owl plus Shadowflame, that would still do some work. Really nice top deck for Trump, of course. That Molten Giant is exactly what he needed in combination with Shadowflame.
Okay, how much damage is actually on the board? Like 8. I feel like the better play might just be to heal bot here because the Shadow Flame still won't remove the mini bots, and then, well, I don't know. We'll see what he does. It's definitely a complicated turn, right? And you're trying to judge what your opponent's likely to have. But with no taunts, it's very difficult to make a correct play because I think you want to be taunting above everything.
Yeah, the problem I have maybe with heal bot is if you just heal bot, then your opponent can still get in the damage next turn. Plus, you're vulnerable to an equality, perhaps. And I guess this play also plays around Quartermaster slightly a bit more. I wouldn't be surprised to see this Mountain Giant attack the 2/2s either. Just so over the course of 2 turns, the Mountain Giant can kill 1 shielded mini-bot. And look, we do see that Quartermaster top deck, so
Yeah.
I think if he went for the heal bot play, he would have just died.
Yeah, he would have died to that for sure. Still a rough spot.
Especially with the boom bots on 4, that's almost in guaranteed 8 damage to face. Yeah, no BGHs. I guess you have to Siphon Soul here?
You know that he doesn't have True Silver because that would have killed you. So if you Siphon and you kill the mini bots with your creatures, then barring some really good mini bot damage, you should still be safe.
Oh man. Consecration though.
Okay, that should be lethal. He consecrates and then 1 boom bot at least will hit face.
Alright.
But I guess both boom bots could do 1 damage.
He actually should have equality'd before. But yeah, still there's actually a way for Shoop to miss lethal here. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
Oh, that was definitely a tough match.
Yeah, that would have been actually pretty awesome if Shoop had actually missed lethal by not playing equality beforehand. It certainly would have gotten some highlight video. Calling Cholden right there. And fortunately for Shoop, he moves on. He gets those awesome Geico points. He wins some money, of course, as well. 3rd place gets $50, while 4th place, unfortunately, doesn't get any money. And Shoop, he'll be in a pretty good position. Not only is he qualified for the first feature tournament by the process of winning the first qualifier, he gets 3rd place in another feature tournament. So props to Shoop overall. He's doing so well so far in the ONOG Summer Circuit.
Yeah, and I mean his lineup obviously works really well too, which is cool because we haven't seen as much Druid being played lately, so I'm happy to see that work out.
Yeah, of course. Unfortunate for Trump, he goes out 0-2 today, but he made a very valiant effort. I think he played pretty well overall, except that perhaps maybe he missed lethal. We're not completely sure. Hot form is 99.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay. Hot form is sure. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have actually the finals match to determine who's going to be the 4th player to qualify for our feature tournament over this weekend. I'll see you guys later.